Monthly partner in brief of ongoing progress work on the shutdown of Lagos infrastructure.
Bring all the traffic into this direction.
We are going to work to ensure that it is better during the AFS program. If we don't do what we need to do now, the road will collapse.
Good day and welcome to another episode of your program, Infrastructure Weekly. I am your anchor, Abosede Omowi. Today on the program, we will be taking you through developments in the power, works and housing sector, as always. We will be right back after this time out to properly set sail. Stay tuned.
Coming together of opportunities, and this is what
infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
there is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and Core TV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
We will take out from the power sector this week with the commissioning of the 2x60 132-33 kVA Odogunyo substation in Ikorodu in Lagos State, where the federal government says it will continue to expand capacity in the power sector to ensure that Nigerians get the full benefit of the potential of the sector. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, also disclosed that the new transmission substation will help in unlocking the potentials of the Ikorodu Industrial Estate. Let's take a listen.
The Odogunyo substation was conceived in the year 2009, but the usual challenge of the time, which includes funding and late takeoff in 2010, did not allow the completion of the project. But today, 9 years after it was originally conceived, it has been commissioned, and the minister, obviously elated at the completion of the project, said this is the impact the change represents. He discloses the resolve of the federal government to ensure the capacity of the transmission leg of the power sector value chain continuously improves.
The transmission sector of the power value chain has been one of the beneficiaries of Mr. President's charge for project completion and project commissioning. So over the last few weeks and months, whether it is in Sokoto, in Lagos, or in Asaba, or in Umuahia, and recently in Akpo, in Abuja, if you have followed our story, you will see that we have been very busy completing one transmission project or expanding one transmission station here and there.
The minister says the federal government is ramping up efforts in the sector with expected delivery of 90 projects before the end of the year. For his part, the managing director of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, Usman Go Mohammed, says the sector is now on the path of sustainable development. According to him, the level of development and funding in the sector for the past 3 years is unprecedented.
Power is one of the critical action points of the economic recovery and growth plan of President Muhammadu Buhari. Those of you who listened to his New Year address on the 1st of January of this year will recall the details of projects spanning infrastructure, containing power infrastructure particularly, which my ministry was charged to advance and to complete with vigor.
Transmission has been scattered, distribution is not working, and generation is not working. Generation was only about 3,500 Transmission was 5,500, and distribution was also about 3,000. As at today, as at December, when the last simulation was done, TCN transmission had a capacity of 7,124. And after that, we have added so many other substations. And generation was 7,000 megawatts, and distribution, if you look at last time we had a peak, distribution was 5,224. So that's tell you how the minister has transformed the sector.
The minister later commissioned the project and handed it over to the Anyogbure of Ikorodu, Kabiru Shotobi, who promised to ensure the safety of the substation to fast-track social-economic development of the area. The member representing the area in the House of Representatives, Jimmy Benson, thanked the government for bringing the substation, which he says will impact positively on the Ikorodu Industrial Estate, which it exclusives is the largest in West Africa.
When I came in here, this is the largest industrial estate in the whole of West Africa. And we can get value from this enormous community. What we have been endowed, I want to make a plea how they can do the road for them so that we can get the benefit of having the industry situated here.
This transmission station, and I'm sure it will bring 24-hour power to our federal constituency.
The substation is expected to help in evacuating about 90 megawatts of electricity for distribution for the people of Odogunyan and adjoining communities.
Staying with the power sector, efforts aimed at building up the nation's transmission capacity have continued apace, with the commissioning of the Ejigbo and Akanga power transmission substations also in Lagos State. Stakeholders say the new substations are a game changer for electricity consumers in the area.
The need to provide electricity in households, office and business areas in Nigeria for the comfort of Nigerians is the assurance of the Buhari-led government through new power system installations geared towards providing quality services to the people. The federal government provision of funds for the Transmission Company of Nigeria through its Ministry of Power to embark on expansion projects across the country is already strengthening transmission capacity to aid the increase in power supply. It is good news that the President Muhammadu Buhari administration is making efforts to boost power supply nationwide in the next 1 year with the renewal of power equipment to increase transmission capacity.
In the past 1 year, we have been doing a lot of reinforcement projects. We have a lot of rehabilitation projects, those that have been completed, those that are still on the way.
When all these efforts are put in place, cumulatively, at the end of the day, Nigerians will experience improved power.
At Ejigbo 132 by 33 kV substation, the capacity is presently 250 MVA. With the commissioning of a 100 MVA transformer, the capacity would increase to more than 300 MVA, with mobile transformers presently bridging the gap when the need arises.
This station is part of the national grid because we link to 3 different power stations, Egbi, Omotosho, and Olorun Shogo. So once power is generated there, they will send it to us through the grid. Then from here, we now send it to Sakete and some distribution companies. About 3 of them are fed from this location.
At any point in time, we monitor, we have operators that are on duty 24 hours to ensure that at every point in time the customer, which is in this case the distribution company, get the required supply, or the power they required.
As 260 MVAs have been added with ongoing 300 MVA on the site, the Akongba and virtually all the substations are witnessing consistent increase in capacity.
Been operating on 3 by 60 MVAs, but since this administration started, we've been given additional 2 by 60 MVA. And with this additional, we have been able to introduce about 4 33 kV feeders with the newly installed 33 kV switchyard. So since this administration started, we have been able to extend this very one. And right now, we still have room for spare feeders, up to about 8 outgoing feeders that are yet to be loaded by the district.
Inspecting all the newly installed transformers, representatives of the Transmission Company of Nigeria have this to say.
Presently, we have 5 numbers, 60 MVA at the 132, which is 300 MVA. 5 numbers, 60 MVA at the 132, as against the 120 we used to have when we started operations here. And we have so many feeders now. So many. We have about 22, 33 kV going.
This transformer is the newest in the station. It's a 300 MVA transformer which is used to increase the capacity of this station. Before now, all the 5 transformers in the station are overloaded. So the authority deemed it fit to increase so that the capacity can increase and will stop this overloading of the transformer. In essence, we are now giving more power to all the stations, all the city, town, states that are collecting supply from us in this station.
Stakeholders emphasize the need for the distribution companies to recapitalize their network so that they can deliver uninterrupted power supply to the people of Nigeria.
On the transmission side, we have the capacity to transmit above 7,000 megawatts now, but we are looking far beyond that. So in the transmission side, we are ready. But you know, transmission is not existing alone. When you talk of power sector, you have the generation, you have transmission and the distribution. So you discover that, in fact, as long as transmission is concerned, we are ready.
While TCN is maintaining power systems nationwide, the federal government is also constructing a chemical laboratory for the Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency to ensure materials used for maintenance of transformers are of the right quality and specifications.
Impact is to ensure that, one, there is safety of life and property. There is safety to ascertain the incipient faults on the transformer before it starts, because the transformer oil we analyze is like the lifeline of the transformer.
The transformer is in service, it's working. So the function of the silica gel is to allow the air to pass through it before getting into the transformer. Why is air moving? The ambient temperature within the transformer, it changes as it's working and with the environment. When there is a higher temperature, the oil inside increases in volume, sort of. So we leave a little space in the conservator tank, just a spare tank for extra oil. So the oil will rise there instead of spilling out or there being excess pressure within the transformer tank. Now when the temperature comes down, the air will go down and the air needs to be replaced, balancing the pressure, so no excess pressure. So when the air is returning inside, it passes through the silica gel. All this moisture in the environment will not be able to pass in with it. The moisture is bad for our windings and the working parts of the transformer to increase the working life of the transformer.
The power transmission equipment installed include transformers, protective devices, metering circuits, as well as state-of-the-art control panels to facilitate the wheeling of more reliable power to the distribution companies and the people of Nigeria.
If you were just joining us, the program is Infrastructure Weekly, where we take a closer look at the infrastructure development agenda of the Buhari administration. For comments, feedback and inquiries, you can reach us on facebook.com/Infrastructure Weekly and on Twitter @Infra_Weekly. Join us after this break for a look at development in the road sector. Welcome back. The Ibadan-Oyo-Ogbomoso-Ilorin Road is a major artery of the road linking the southwest to the northern parts of the country through Jeba to Mokwa and other parts of the country. But for many years, due to traffic and the state of the road, many travelers and road users have always taken longer alternative routes to get to their destinations. With the award of the road by the Obasanjo government in the early part of his first term as president, many thought their suffering on the road would become a thing of the past. Though it took longer for the Ibadan-Oyo section and the Ogbomoso-Ilorin section to be completed, the longer section of the road, the Oyo-Ogbomoso stretch, was left unawarded until the advent of the Jonathan government. But since then, it was left without funding. But now, the case is different. Let's take a look at the present situation of the road.
The Ibadan-Oyo dual carriage road, as completed, is the first phase of the Ibadan-Ilorin route to be constructed by the federal government. The second phase is the Oyo to Ogbomoso end, falling between kilometer 43 and 95. After initial abandonment, contractors are massively back on site to get the road delivered.
It's a virgin land where we are putting the road. So the activity starts from clearing. After the clearing, then you do the earthwork to formation level. After the formation level, you put the sub base, you put the base course, then you put the wearing course. You put the bander course before the wearing course. That is what we want to achieve on this road.
The construction, which is at different stages, is experiencing steady progress from clearing, artwork, sub-base, base costs, and the wearing costs. Rock blasting is also ongoing to connect the roads.
It's going to at least reduce the incessant accidents that happen on the old road. Because it's like on a weekly basis you have breakdown on that road that people may have to stay like 3-4 days not able to pass through that road. If we are here like on Wednesday or Tuesday, that's what I'm talking about. That people had to divert into this route to be able to, have their way and to go away. So that is one. Then the second one is that it's going to reduce the traveling time for people because this is a dual carriageway. And another one is a single lane where vehicles, face each other. So when you have a dual carriageway, you don't have any vehicle facing you. You can move as you like. It's going to make traveling between Lagos and the north very easy. Very, very easy because this road is a trans-Saharan road, at least from the southwest to the north.
Residents of Ilupeju area of Oyo town appreciate the work of the federal government while seeking speedy completion of the projects.
We really thank our government for allowing this project. Actually, it's open like this, but many of after they have started this construction, many of the peoples are being moved to this area. Even the transport is very going through.
This section 2 starts from 43 to 95. But as I speak with you, we are between 48 and 49 now. This location we are standing, So this is about 5 kilometers from the beginning. That's the location that we are now. The work is progressing. As we go along the road, you see what we are doing.
With the completion of the Oyo-Ogbomoso end, the Trans-Sahara Road will be connecting Lagos from the southwest to the northern part of the country.
Thanks for staying tuned. For comments, inquiries, and feedback, join us on facebook.com/Infrastructure Weekly and on Twitter at Infra_Weekly. Join us after this break for a look into the National Housing Program in both Edo and Delta State. Don't go away.
Coming together of opportunities. This is what
infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and QoTV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
The National Housing Program, currently on in 33 states, has reached an appreciable level in both Edo and Delta State and has also helped in empowering local communities, artisans and others. Let's take a listen to the impacts the program is making on the local economy in both states.
The ongoing national housing program by the federal government in Benin, Edo State, is generating over 3,000 employments for skilled and unskilled workers, including contractors, artisans, building material suppliers, block molders, as well as empowerment to families within the locality and Nigeria at large. Julius Ibekwe is a beneficiary and his wife a food vendor at the site. Regina Ibekwe commends the federal government for creating means of livelihood for some of them through the project, while stating that she earns about 35,000 naira daily. The Ibekwe couple has generated money to take care of their children's education and also bought a land to build their own house.
I benefited very well. So my wife is selling here. She's making money. I am working for them very well. Their things are not losing, so the community is good also. They are not coming here to take what does not belong to them.
I thank God for giving me opportunity this hour to speak. I thank God as una open here for me, and they say well, and that they use the money where I say here they train my children. I thank God for the good thing where una do for me. God go bless una. Here open and they make our area to open. It make the village open more.
The 64-unit housing project is located at Edumwen, Eigie, along Benin-Auchi Road in Umwode local government area of the state. During an inspection tour by the Ministry of Power Works and Housing, site managers say the ongoing project has about 12 different contractors and is at 80% completion stage.
The quality is good. Specification is very good, and the bottom line of this project is that everything we are using is from Nigeria. Nothing is imported. From the cement to the doors, they are all locally made.
Since we have been working, we employ so many people, and then the atmosphere is good. We are enjoying the work.
My income has enhanced, and I've had the opportunity to also get more experience as it has to do with house building.
Capital Monsimi. I am a carpenter here, and with the work I am doing here, I feed my family and pay my children's school fees, so I thank God.
Road construction is also ongoing at the site for easy access to the housing estate, which will in turn boost economic activities in the state.
The project is ongoing. By the special grace of God, as you can see, the work is moving. Okay. My equipments are here. We have been able to clear the site, and we're facing the topsoil on the site. As soon as we evacuate the topsoil, then filling is the next.
The National Housing Estate in Anioa North local government area of East Sele Azagba, Delta State, has 68 units of residential buildings and a condominium of 24 units. It has created over 1,000 employment opportunities for the people, and the construction of houses also includes schools and recreation centers.
We are doing this project for the benefit of the public. The benefit is twofold. There's economic benefit on the workers, the community, the contractors, and even the staff, in-house staff, because everything is local content, 100%.
It's need for us to provide adequate security here. So we have to meet with the police and with the SSS. But for now, there's no security situation in this place. This place is peaceful, and that's why you can see workers working conveniently without any problem.
The electrical infrastructure contractor
is already on course. This estate is going to have a good electrical distribution system comprising of transformers, overhead distribution unit, street lighting. So when you may be passing through here, when the estate is finally finished, you think it is another Dubai. Because if you have ever been to Dubai, in the night you think it is daylight. So everywhere will be lighted up. And interestingly too, there is provision for good water distribution scheme. In this estate, there's provision for borehole, treatment plant, tower, and overhead tanks. We cannot talk of a good planning without open spaces. Open spaces for facilities such as recreational areas, nursery schools, green beds, post office, commercial areas, and so on and so forth. So there is also provision for all of these facilities in this housing estate.
With all these positive projects across the country by the President Muhammadu Buhari-led federal government, its objectives are to address and improve socio-economic conditions through employment generation, poverty alleviation, and empowerment of Nigerians.
That will be all on today's episode of the program. Before we go, let's all join hands together to protect public utilities so that they will last longer and bring the needed benefits for putting them in place for all Nigerians. Let's continue the conversation on Facebook.com/Infrastructure Weekly and on Twitter @Infra_Weekly. Lastly, pay your tax. I'm Abosede Omowi. Bye for now.